All right, we're back. Episode 47 of the Punching Down podcast with your host, me. I always say that. I don't know why. I've said I don't know why I say that. I don't know why I say that, but I keep saying it. I'm in lovely Miami, Florida. First off, apologies. Last week's episode I recorded, it was the first one I was recording here. I'm still trying to get my setup, tweaked or whatever the fuck. But we didn't have the building I'm staying in didn't have air conditioning. It broke, and then, which is weird because it's like there's tons of old people here. I'm like, there must have been 10 people who died because I'm in Miami. But anyways, they fixed it like 10 minutes before I started recording the podcast, and then because the air conditioning came on, I don't know why, but my nose started running. So all these people were like, "Yo, your fucking runny nose is pissing me off." By the way, the person who won the Jeremy Grant Top Shot last week has not claimed their Top Shot. Please reach out to me. I can't remember your name, but I said it on the last episode. I just realized, actually, you know what? I could just reply to them in the comments of YouTube. Although, what's the move here? Are they like, they didn't listen to the episode, so it's like, do I pick a new person? You know what? Comment on this one, telling me what you think. Should I pick a new person because that person didn't claim it? What do we think the fair thing is? Or do I go track them down to be like, here's a free NBA Top Shot, Mr. Person who doesn't even listen to my podcast, who's just signing up for the free Top Shot and nothing else? Let me know what you think. Some people are like, you don't look into the camera enough. Yeah, it's because I have my computer in front of me. It's hard to do a goddamn podcast. I can't. What, you think I'm just going to memorize all this shit? Sorry, I don't know why I'm. You know what I'm angry? The stock market right now is just kicking my ass. It's been. I mean, if you're invested in the stock market, I know a lot of people have enjoyed the stock market commentary. So let's just keep everybody up to speed. So first off, because I was talking with a friend of mine today, he's new to the investing realm, and he's very much of like the sky is falling. That's what it feels like, and so the thing is there's kind of two types of stocks. There's value stocks. These are like, if you buy Coca-Cola is a value stock, like you're not gonna make a lot of money in a value stock. It's gonna go up a little bit, but it's considered a safer kind of investment. Then there's growth stocks. Growth stocks, these are your high flyers. These are the stocks that will just go up on no reason 25% in a day. These are companies that can go from being worth $100 million to $5 billion in the course of not that long. In short periods of time. People like trading growth stocks because, they're sexy, they move a lot, but it's a kind of live by the sword, die by the sword thing, because with growth stocks, they're all fun and good on the way up, but on the way down, it is a real kick in the dick. So I don't have only growth stocks. Everything's kind of been taken down, unless you own banks right now. Like, banks are the only thing. I had one position in this company, Mosaic. They're like an agriculture company, which thankfully bucked the trend a bit. I sold out of it yesterday, only for it to get the shit kicked out of it today. GameStop update. It's fucking up today. The markets are blood red. I'm looking at it right now. It's 3:48 on Thursday afternoon. I'm doing this a little late. GameStop is $132 a share, up 7.80, which is pretty crazy that on these like really down days, GameStop, because you think like GameStop would be the one of all like stocks where you're like on a sell-off day where everything's getting sold no matter what, because people just want cash to be out of just, out of safety, or just the people just don't want to be in the markets. Although today felt like a capitulation day. If you don't know what that is, basically this is how the psychology of the market works, right? So everybody's making money, it's all fun, and then and you just have these paper gains. Like, you're not really like having, unless you sell, you don't really have that money. Your account says you have that money, but you haven't sold it. So, and these prices are changing on a daily basis, right? So the market's going up. It's all fun and good. And they have this kind of adage in the stock market that stocks, they take the stairs up, they go do 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 do, and they take the elevator down. And that's kind of what's going on. So what happens? You have all these gains, and then your stocks drop, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, all the gains I had, they're gone. Like overnight too. They might just be like that. They're like, okay, they're gone. In one day, I had a month's worth of gains, and they're gone. Excuse me. And then, the next day it goes down some more and you go, oh shit. And if you're a smart trader, what you want to be doing is you want to be placing like stop losses so that if it reaches a certain point, you just get out and then, you can kind of rejigger, if you will, and kind of just like regroup, and maybe you get way lower prices and you can buy back in lower. It's hard to say, but today felt like what's a capitulation where people just like they're watching their account go down and down and down and they can't take it anymore. They're like, I just don't want to be in this market anymore. The pain is just too much. I can't take this. It's just every time I look at the price of my account or the value of my account, it's lower than it was 10 minutes ago. And they just go, fuck it, I can't take this anymore. I've hit my pain point, and they just sell. And it's a pretty good indicator. Usually you see it a lot in the stock market where and because it's like there's just everybody at once is just like, I can't take it anymore. They sell, and then usually that marks a bottom, and then we kind of move higher. And I'm talking to my because, I've had some, definitely taken some hits on my account, because I was pretty fully invested, not in only growth stocks, but I had some growth stocks for sure. And I did decently in this downturn. I didn't get killed. Although I have one stock, this one Open Door. That's not a good sign when you don't know the actual name of the stock. You have no idea. It's called Open Door. They're one of the SPACs, which if you don't know, those are the special purpose acquisition company or whatever. They're basically like a Zillow kind of company. So I've owned them since they were $12. They were as high as $38 a month ago. So I was doing great. Came down. I'm like, I'm gonna add some more to it, even though I'm up big on it. And then today it just got, last 2 days it got hammered. It went from $32 to $24, and it happens just that quick. So I'm going to be sticking around. I bought some Tesla so if you don't know about me, I've never really talked about it that much on this podcast. Maybe not at all. Ryan Long makes fun of me a lot. So I was a big Tesla guy, Tesla stock. And I've never owned their car or anything, but I was super big into Tesla stock 4 years ago. I was like, man, this is the future. I put basically all my money I had into Tesla. I was like, this is going to fucking skyrocket. I put everything I had into Tesla. I was so sure of it. Then last year it goes fucking crazy. I'm I'm up 300% on my position. I'm like, everything's good. And then March comes around, and this is another thing, and then this is what everybody makes fun of me for. I said, I'm like, you know what? I'm never selling my Tesla. I will never sell my shares of Tesla. I will be 65 years old when I sell this shit. And so whenever we would move, I'd be like, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. I'm never selling. It fucking goes on this crazy tear, and I'm just like, everything's great. Because, again, when the stocks are going up, so what do you have to worry about? Why do you care what your stocks are doing? They're going up. You look at them, you go, I have a little more money than yesterday. Great. And then March hit. My shares of Tesla take a shit kicking. They go from $900 a share to $360, I think. And my cost basis, I think, was $250 or I think it was $250 pre-split, because they've split 5-to-1 since. And then I was like, holy shit, I just watched years worth of gains just evaporate like this. And then it spikes back up to $900. And I'm like, you know what? And I broke my rule. And it's hard to stick to your guns in the stock market. It is so, so hard sometimes. It's easier if you because the thing is, I like to concentrate my bets. I like to pick a thing and I go I like this company. I'm going to put a lot of money behind it. Some people, they do the Warren Buffett strategy, the portfolio, the safe thing, which is not to deride it. It is in certain ways good, where, you take 5% of your money, you pick 20 different stocks. And then that way, this volatility, it doesn't really affect you that much, because even if everything goes down, as long as, your portfolio is constructed in such a way, on these massive days that are massive down days, it does, you don't do that badly, because some things go up, some things go down. It kind of works its way out. But I tend to have a more concentrated portfolio, which, on days like today, it's just it's pretty much, I don't think I have anything that was up today. At all. I'm trying to think if I have anything. I'm looking at the list. No, nothing's up today. We are on suicide watch. No, not really. It's fine. The thing is, we're in, we were talking, so I have some friends who we run the Hard Money, the $1 Million podcast with. These two guys, Enrique and Gabe, they both used to work on Wall Street for like, they're retired from Wall Street. They did really well for themselves. And it's kind of good because I can check in and be like, hey, what do you guys think? And they're literally like laughing about this because like me and my friend Matt are like, oh my God, they're like, what the fuck do we do? Do we just sell everything? And they're like, and then they just, you look at the chart of the S&P 500 and it's like, it's not even down 10% off of its highs. Like 10% is what's considered, if you go into less than 10% down, it's what's considered a bear market where you go, okay, the trends changed and we're now in a 10. It's like, we're only off, like if you go pull out like a long-term time frame of the S&P 500. We're like, we're at the top, and it just did this little, I don't know if you can see here, sorry, but we're at the top, and it just did this little dip, and you're like, yeah, it's nothing. But, I think a lot of what's happening, too, is this is the first real adversity, like the new Robin Hooder class of traders who started trading about a year ago. Basically a year ago. I think this is the first adversity they're facing, so they're starting to understand a lot of like the emotion element of it, where you're like, you're still, because it's easy. Like every dip for the past year has been snapped up. Like every tiny dip, it's like the market drops 2%, and then it's just like new highs a week later, and you're like, oh, this is fucking easy. Like this is the easiest shit ever. But like the stock market is not easy. It has a way of definitely being able to humble you by just just fucking you up. And I think a lot of people are fucking up. A lot of people panic sold today. And I guess we'll see where these people are we, getting in the start of a bear market, or, I mean, we're not even there yet. We're pretty far away from that being the case. So it's hard to say, but I don't think so. I think this is just a pretty standard dip. I bought a little bit of this company Voyager. They're like a cryptocurrency exchange. I bought some Voyager and today, and then otherwise did nothing. Because the thing is, my experience, almost all the time in the stock market, the best thing to do, especially when there's adversity, is just do nothing. The only time that you can't do nothing sometimes is, and that's not always the case, because obviously, like, if you own a stock and it comes out and you go, hey, this stock's a complete scam. Like, this company doesn't exist. They're operating out of like a strip mall plaza in fucking Orlando, and the whole company is a fraud. Yeah, don't just sit around and do nothing. Get the fuck out and move on with your life. But a lot of times, if you own like, Facebook or Amazon, and you're like, oh, my Amazon's down 10%, it's like, it's going to go back up. The move is to just sit on your fucking hands, turn off your screen, do nothing. And the thing is but then sometimes it's hard because, like, I felt maybe a week ago, I was like, should I just sell all this shit? Because I was feeling like these crashy vibes, even though it's, again, not a crash, but I was feeling these vibes where we were like, we're having this downturn. Even last episode, I was like, the markets were pretty weak, and I was kind of feeling it, and then I was like, you know what, just do nothing. And then, but had I done something in hindsight and then waited a week, I would have been better off. But again, hindsight is always easy in hindsight. The stock market is the most easiest thing in hindsight, because you can always be like, oh, I should have done this. But to actually do it is hard. It's not easy. So that's what's going on. Interesting thing. So this is not really a GameStop update, but this is this was a fascinating thing that happened in the market this week. Not in the market. So there's this company. Holy shit. There's a company called SLGG. So someone on Wall Street Bets posted, they did a post. It's called, I've decoded Ryan Cohen's most recent tweet. They removed the post. Interesting. Okay. Interesting that the post got removed. It got removed by Wall Street mods. So he, I wonder if I can find it. Sorry. This was up like recently when I was assembling my notes for this podcast. So Ryan Cohen last week posted a photo of a McDonald's soft serve cone, and then a picture of a frog. Okay. He posted this on Twitter, and GameStop, that's when GameStop, I was talking about this last week, it like tripled. Like it just went crazy, right? GameStop tripled on the news that he's posting this thing. And so this person goes, I've decoded this, what it is. And so basically what it is he goes, GameStop, there's a company called Super League Gaming. They're like an e-gaming league or whatever. Their stock at the time that this guy posted, their stock was like $3, low $3 and change. So this guy says, I've decoded this stock. Oops, that was the bell. Excuse me. That was the stock market bell. If you heard that go off, I have this platform or whatever has a bell. But anyways, so he goes, I've decoded what the tweet is, and so basically there's this woman who used to work at McDonald's, and then she worked at some like frog company. She's the CEO of this company, SLGG. And so this guy, essentially, the base of he goes, GameStop is going to buy this Super League Gaming company, SLGG, and get into like esports. Makes a lot of sense. Honestly, the guy like kind of laid it out. And then everybody on like Wall Street Bets ate this up because honestly, it was some pretty good detective work. Like he found her LinkedIn. She used to work at McDonald's, so there's like the soft serve thing, and then there's something about a frog company, like a company with a frog in it. And he did all this detective work. I don't know how the fuck this guy figured it out. Whether he was like it was someone on the inside who was like just getting the ball started, which it could very well be too. It could have been like Wall Street Bets has the power where like if you're an insider, you can just be like, you can get the ball moving on this, be like, hey guys, here's what's going on with this. So they post about this company SLGG. I bought some yesterday at $5. So it was before this person posted, it was in the threes. I bought some yesterday at $5.02. I sold it at like $5.50 because it like, within 20 minutes, I like made 10%. I was like, okay, I'm out. Especially the way the markets were yesterday. I was like, I don't really want to hold, these things can reverse on you pretty hard. And then now it just closed at, it hit $9 today. So it's interesting, like, if you do real like legwork like this, it's almost like if you see the movie Wall Street where he was like, he was like the old Wall Street where Charlie Sheen, yeah, it was Charlie Sheen, and he was like, like surveilling people to figure out these deals that were going on, and like it was, it was not necessarily legal, but just this is totally legal. What's going on? Like this guy, if this is just a regular person, he just did good investigative work. He decoded what Ryan Cohen meant, put the pieces together, and you could make a fucking shit ton of money. But anyways, the stock is down $9, and it did like 250 million share of volume today, which is fucking crazy. It's the highest. I think this is the highest it's ever been. So it's interesting when stuff like that happens because this guy cracked the code. He basically went out and he cracked the motherfucking code. And I would say good for him. It's pretty cool when you're able to do something like that. Okay, we're going to talk about the world of NFTs. I feel like NFT is it's getting to the point where I'm like, am I just getting sucked into this just hype cycle? So as you know, I got into the NBA Top Shot. I haven't bought any new ones. I actually sold a couple ones last week, just like some whatever smaller shitty ones. But they dipped quite a bit. Like we bought 3 LaMelo balls for our hard money portfolio because we're trying to beat Matt Sancom in his stock market portfolio, which is getting fucking lit up. I imagine he's below what he put in. And this is the crazy thing with the stock market. They started this podcast a month ago. He was up over 100%, like 8 days in, which normally when you're up a crazy amount like that in such a short period of time, that should be kind of like the warning sign where you're like, okay, time to get the fuck out. Like this is, you made too much money too fast. Just like get out, have your money, and just wait for better. But you never know when the top is or whatever, so it's hard. But his money was doubled. I think he's probably got to be back to close to even. Our Top Shot portfolio, the LaMelo balls, we bought them for like $3,150 each, which is crazy, I know. And then they got up to, I think they were as high as like 6 and change, and now I think they're back down to like 4,500. But like they are not free from like the way the stock market moves, like the stock market tanks and people are like, I'm selling my fucking Top Shots. Like this is like, they don't want to be in any sort of like, it's almost like there is this weird correlation. They're all like my friend Enrique says, the hedge fund guy, he's like, they're all risk assets. So, if you don't want to take any risk, you're going to sell your stocks, you're going to sell your Top Shots, like kind of all one and the same, which is weird to think that people do that, but they do that. But Topshops, they dipped. I think they've kind of, I was looking at them like all the time, and then I kind of was like, I can't look at this all the time. It's just too much. So I kind of stopped with that. I look at them less now, but my Topshots are up a decent amount. But I don't know if I'm going to be buying anymore. I'm just going to probably hold on to them for a bit and see what happens. Kings of Leon is coming out with an NFT album. I don't even know what the fuck that means. They go, hey, we're coming out with an album that's an NFT. And you're like, okay. I took a photo of a piece of shit. Can I turn that into an NFT? Answer, yes. You literally can take a photo of a piece of dog shit that you see on the street and turn it into an NFT. And that's a real thing. I have no idea what's going on, but it's true. Grimes, the wife of Elon Musk, she did an NFT. She's an artist, I guess. Like, she's obviously an artist, but like I didn't know she was makes pictures. What's wrong with me? She makes she makes art, like digital art, and so she did this digital art release last week, on that I think it was on that Nifty Gateway or something. And she sold like $5 million worth of her art in like 5 minutes. So the NFT market could not be hotter. I feel like most of these will be worth zero in not that long. A big element of this too, there's so many people who saw Bitcoin happen and they go, this is the next bit. They go, this is Bitcoin all over again. Here's my opportunity to not make the mistakes I made with Bitcoin now. And honestly, I'm not going to lie, myself included a little bit. I'm not going like insane on this. I'm not like putting my fucking life savings into it. I put a very small sum of money, and if it all went to zero, I'd just be like, whatever, is what it is. But I feel like there's just a lot of this fear of missing out with the Bitcoin thing. Oh, speaking of which, because I talked about this on last week's episode, this is the only thing that's basically going well for me in the last week for the most part, is Flow, the token that backs the whole NBA Top Shot thing. I've been buying it for the past 2 weeks, about 2 weeks ago, around $16 to $18 ish in price. It hit today, but the market came down, the whole market, so everything, all cryptos are kind of like going a lockstep, but it hit as high as $40, and I think it's at 36 right now. So we're doing well on the Flow, and if you live outside of America, I highly recommend you buy it. Maybe on a pullback, just don't buy it at the top, but what's going to happen is it's backed by the NBA. Like, it's not like some shit coin where you're like, oh, this is just going to go to nothing. Like, this literally has the backing of the National Basketball Association. This thing is legit, and it's eventually going to be listed on Coinbase, and Americans are going to be able to buy it. And once that happens, this thing is going to fucking double instantly. Just for the amount of people who are going to want to buy it, and it's going to go up like crazy. So that's one good thing. Okay, last finance thing, and then we're going to get to more other news stuff. Dave Portnoy. I like Dave Portnoy. People don't like Dave Portnoy. I like Dave Portnoy. His Barstool Fund is great. He's doing lots of good shit. He released an ETF this week, exchange traded fund. It's a basket of stocks, basically. It's called Buzz, which is like, you're like, this has got to be the top of the market. Like, these are the kind of things where you look back like 5 years from now and we go, remember when people were spending $5,000 on digital basketball cards, and Dave Portnoy released an ETF called Buzz? That was a pretty good sign that we were at a market top, right? That's kind of like the feeling. But you never know. But so this ETF, it literally just tracks like stocks that people talk about on social media. Like, it's all the buzzy stocks, and it's like a basket, so you can just buy all these buzzy stocks in one basket. But then it doesn't, like, they rebalance it every month. So it doesn't even really make that much sense, because you're like, some of these buzzy stocks, they literally go from like $5 and then they'll go to like $20 and back to $5 in the span of a week. And you're like, but you can't really, like, they don't rebalance them. So you're like, they're just going to be like, all right, yeah. I mean, at one point it was up a lot, but no, we kind of got fucked on it. I guess you could trade it, but I don't know. Okay. It's, what day is it today? It's March 4th. If you're listening to this, it's March 5th. We are almost nearing, I feel like if I should put like a round of applause button in there, but I'm not going to, because I'm not editing it like that. But we're almost nearing the anniversary of 15 days to slow the spread. Ha, ha, ha. Remember that? Remember 15 days? We're just going 15 days to slow the spread. I remember I was a young man back then in New York City, And he goes, I'm going to go to Florida because it's just going to be 15 days. They're going to slow this spread. And then I'm going to come back to New York and life will go back to normal. And they're like, yeah, it's a year later. And I mean, stuff's reopening. Comedy clubs are reopening in New York on April 2nd, which is sweet. I'm not sure what relation this is, but the Donnie from Stand Up New York, he sued the state of New York, basically being like, yo, let us open the comedy clubs. This is bullshit. Like, people can go to Knicks and Rangers games. This is nonsense. And then the next day, they're like, yeah, we're reopening stuff on April 2nd. I mean, I think the data, like, they're going to have so many vaccines. So many people are going to be vaccinated. There's going to be more vaccines than they know what to do with in April and May. So I think the writing's on the wall that this is kind of going to be over. But the 15 days to stop the spread was pretty crazy. The really crazy thing, though, is because, like, Texas, Mississippi, Alabama, they just announced they're all 100% open. They're removing their mask mandate. So you're like, you don't even have to wear a mask inside, which is fucking crazy. But again, lots of people are getting vaccinated. Some people don't want the vaccine, so that's their problem. Obviously, people are like, why would you do this? We're so close to the end. And then they're basically being like, yeah, we're Texas. We don't give a shit. So how about that? But yeah, so everywhere in America is slowly reopening. I imagine, I'm in Florida right now. I imagine Florida is going to be soon where they're going to get rid of all these mandates as well and just going to be 100% open. Toronto, my hometown, they're about to go into their third fucking lockdown. It's so crazy what's going on in Canada. Like Canada, not Canada everywhere. I say this is a broad brush, but Toronto, it's basically like, seems like what New York was a year ago. It's fucking, like, we were talking about it on our other fucking-omics podcast with Patrick O'Neill, because he still lives there. And he's like, yeah, he's like, I read something on Twitter where they're like, yeah, they're talking about reopening retail. And I was like, excuse me? They're only just discussing reopening retail stores? Like, they're not, like, you know, because in America, New York is like the most, like, New York or California are the places where they're like, people are like, man, how do you live there? Like, everything's closed. Like, that must suck, huh? And then you see that compared to Toronto, and like New York is like Florida compared to Toronto. It's fucking brutal. And they've like been having all these issues. So because they make you, if you fly into the country now, you have to get a COVID test, and then they put you in a hotel that you have to pay for 3 days. At which point, there's all these like videos of people who they're like not feeding them well. It's basically like turning into Fire Fest, where like you can't get food even though you're in this government hotel you're spending all this money for. Then you got to get another test on the way out of the hotel, and so you have to get 2 negative tests, 3 nights in a hotel, and then you still have to quarantine for 14 days to go into Canada right now. It is fucking absurd. So, I mean, I have no idea when I'm going back to Canada. It could be, at this rate, I don't know, a year before I can even get back in. My friend Patrick was saying that there's like a thing right now because truck drivers are exempt from like all these things. So then people are like truck drivers are like getting paid money by people, like basically like coyotes, and then you go and you sit in their front seat and then they like drive you into Canada so you can avoid all this shit. It is fucking wild. Governor Andrew Cuomo, he was in the news doing a great job with the state of New York. That guy, it's crazy how you can just become a villain so fast, you know? Because here's the thing, he's a single guy, right? So he's a single guy. He has a right to try and meet people. Like there's no like, you know, edict where he has to be alone for the rest of his life. He's the fucking governor of New York. He's like rich as shit. You know, maybe he's lonely and he wants to meet someone. So anyways, he got fucking killed because, for one, there's some like press thing. And this is the stuff where you're like, this is just nonsense. Where there's some like female reporter and she was like eating the sausage and he goes, you got to eat the whole sausage. And then she's like, I felt threatened. And you're like, what? Because he told you to eat the whole sausage? It feels like you're the one making it sexual. He might just be like, it's a big sausage. You're a small person. And then it becomes sexual where he's like, he told me to eat the whole sausage. And you're like, shut the fuck up. It's ridiculous. But anyway, so now everybody hates him. The guy wrote a goddamn book about defeating COVID 9 months before even getting a handle on COVID. It's not going well for Cuomo. It's crazy how things turned on him. He almost needed Trump, like, because when Trump was in office, he'd be like, you think I'm a piece of shit? He's a piece of shit. Like, he's a fucking major piece of shit. He's, it's Trump, and then Trump's gone, and he's just like kind of like the tides come out, and Cuomo's like, yeah, all these women are accusing me of sexual harassment, so it's not good for them. CPAC, the big conservative thing. This was so funny. This is another thing. I got a few things I want to talk about. So CPAC, they had a stage, and it's all like conservatives. This is like the nerdiest shit ever. It's like a bunch of conservatives get together and just like give speeches about how good being a conservative is, and I think they talk about who the next leader is. Obviously Trump. I think Trump won. Well, not Trump won. He didn't win anything, but they're saying he might be the next. They're like wanting him to run, and then Trump 2024 was trending. But then there's this big thing where like their stage looked like a Nazi symbol, a Nazi rune. It was like this kind of like square with like these wings or whatever. And then people are like, "Hey, Hyatt, do you know that you're like having a Nazi convention? How do you feel about it?" Because there's like a Hyatt hotel, and Hyatt's like, "What?" And then it's interesting how because here's the thing. It objectively looks like the symbol. It's not the same symbol they showed like on whatever architectural drawing. It's similar to the symbol. It's not the exact symbol, but it's definitely very similar. And from the angle that you see it from, because you don't see like the back of it, it is very similar, right? And so all these like left-wing people are like, hey, the fucking Nazi party's getting together. This is obviously a Nazi thing. And then the right-wing people are like, oh, you guys are a bunch of conspirators. It's like, yeah, just because it resembles it. But you're like, yeah, it does resemble it, though. Like the right-wing people are like, well, yeah, it resembles it, sure. But does that mean that just because it resembles a Nazi symbol that we're Nazis? And you're like, no, it's not that it resembles your Nazis. Sorry, I got a dog in here right now. He's going kind of crazy. In case anybody was wondering, what is that noise? It's the fucking dog. He's going a little ape shit. But anyways, it was funny to just watch all the kind of just like circular shit where people are like, trying to say like, oh, these right-wing people are Nazis because they had this thing, and the right-wing people are like, well, it's just a coincidence. And you're like, maybe it was a coincidence, but they're both kind of right. But I mean, to say that they're like, you're just conspiracy theorists, and you're like, they obviously weren't like, nobody at CPAC was like, we should do this stage, we should do a swastika, and someone's like, that's a little on the nose with the swastika. Let's just do a rune. I don't even know how that's pronounced. Okay, we got one more thing, and then we're gonna wrap this bad boy up. What do we got? Oh, yeah, Dr. Seuss. Here we go. Dr. Seuss in the news. Does not like you with your Jews. Hey, here we go. That's pretty cool. I rhymed it. So Dr. Seuss books are getting Dr. Seuss announced that 6 books are not going to be published going forward for racist imagery. Most of it, I gotta say, pretty benign. I saw some of the photos. It'd be like an Asian person with chopsticks. It's like, yeah, go to anywhere in Asia. Pretty normal thing you'll see there. Not to mention, excuse me, there's a Chinese restaurant by my house in New York, and they have this imagery up in their restaurant all over the place. Like, it's not like they're like, what the fuck? We don't use this. It's like they have similar imagery in their own restaurant that they put up. They're not like trying to placate racists or anything. But anyway, so they're like, we're Dr. Seuss is like, we're not selling these books. We're not going to be publishing them because they're racist, even though they're like, they don't seem very racist. Instantly becomes a collector's item because people are like, oh, they don't exist anymore. There's no more Dr. Seuss, these books. So now they're a collector's item. So then they go up on eBay, and then eBay starts pulling these books down. They're literally eBay. There's all these people who are like trying to sell the books. And so one person goes, and this guy has like 500 ratings. So it's like, it's not like some dude who's like a troll who just like made an account. He goes, I made 3 listings yesterday for Dr. Seuss books. 2 were taken down for offensive material and 1 for price gouging. So people are like, it's essentially getting removed because you're like, yeah, you can't sell racist shit on eBay. But like, there's literally like books, like you can buy Mein Kampf on eBay. Like you can go buy a copy of Mein Kampf right now on eBay, but you can't go buy Dr. Seuss because one of them has offensive material and the other one is Mein Kampf. It's crazy. And then one for price gouging, which is insane because if you go on eBay, you could sell whatever. You could, like, who's to say what price gouging is? If you list something, you say, I have this thing for sale, someone buys it. Is that price gouging, or is that just you selling the thing for what someone wants to buy for it? It's a crazy, crazy slippery slope. And let me tell you, just to tie it back to all the stock things, is I fucking own shares of eBay. Not a fan. I own shares of eBay because I was like, I'd been buying stuff on eBay and I was like, oh, this is a pretty good system. There's so many things you can only find here, and they make a ton of money off seller fees and all the fees that they're making. I'm like, this is a pretty good business here for eBay. And then now I'm like, oh, it's not good for me. I mean, their stock has taken an absolute shit kicking. I do like it though, but I don't know what to do. But it's a weird one because you're like, literally they're removing Dr. Seuss books and they're saying, oh, the publisher is no longer publishing them, so we're removing them because they're. And you're like, so what? eBay is a secondhand marketplace. You're like, I want to sell a fucking book that I own, a Dr. Seuss book, and eBay's like literally saying it goes against their community standards. And all the cancel culture people, they probably love this shit. And they go, yeah, why not? If you don't like cancel culture, then tough shit. But it's pretty nonsense. I'm not gonna lie. I can't really believe that they're doing this, and apparently it's happening like a lot. It's a common thing that's happening quite a bit. So, anyways, if you have Dr. Seuss, here's the thing though: if you have the Dr. Seuss books, don't sell them. Hang on to them. They're rare now. All of a sudden, they just became collector's items overnight for racist people. Especially if you have you go to like some sort of like swap meet in the South, or I don't know, just any sort of racist things. They can, these are going to be collector's items. So don't sell. If you have any of these Dr. Seuss books, do not sell them. All right, that has been this week's episode. Thank you very much, everybody, for listening. Leave me a review if you like this shit. If you won that Top Shot, I forget what your name is, but listen to last episode. It's a bunch of initials. Message me, and I'll give you the Top Shot. Or, you know what, let me know. What's fair here? Do I give it to somebody else because the person who won didn't listen to the last week's episode? What do I do? Let me know. Okay, peace out. Bye.